My wife's new boyfriend punched my son in the face, a sound I will never forget. Bone meeting bone, then the wet slap of skin on tile. Blood pooled faster than I thought possible. My boy, barely breathing, clutched his nose, eyes wide, confused. She spat at him. He deserves more. Her father blocked my path as I tried to lift my son. His breath smelled like bourbon and rot. "You're not going anywhere." The room was too quiet. The hum of the fridge, the muffled drip from the sink. I looked at him, smiled. That's when he noticed what was in my hand. Not a weapon, not yet, just a small, black leather notebook. The same one I'd been keeping for 6 months. It started with a voicemail. A woman's voice, laughter in the background. A man's. I replayed it in my office late at night. My wife's tone was different, softer, like she'd stored it for him alone. Then came the late shifts that didn't match her work calendar. The faint scent of cologne on her coat, not mine. I didn't confront her, not right away. I observed, like a surgeon before an incision, steadying the hand before the cut. The boyfriend appeared weeks later, introduced as a family friend. I shook his hand and cataloged the squeeze, overcompensated dominance. His eyes slid toward her more than once. She didn't notice me noticing. My son told me things, small, sharp details. He yelled at Mom once. He didn't like how I laughed. He told me to stay in my room. Betrayal wasn't sudden. It crept, layer by layer, until this man, the parasite she'd brought into our lives, decided my son was his to discipline. I became meticulous. Phone records. Every number she called twice or more got logged. I cross-referenced dates with her late shifts. A hidden camera in the kitchen, another in the garage. They caught fragments, a hand brushing her lower back, a whispered joke too close for friends. I visited her workplace under a different pretense. She wasn't there, but his car was parked across the street. My notebook grew heavier. Not with paper. Weight is a strange thing when it's made of truth. When the bruises appeared on my son's arms, I asked nothing. I simply took photos while he slept. Each mark, time-stamped. I recorded the boyfriend's voice through the thin wall between my son's room and the hallway. The words weren't violent, they were worse. Quiet, controlling commands. Little reminders that the boy wasn't safe. I knew then, truth alone wouldn't be enough. It had to be undeniable, airtight. And when it was ready, it would hit them like cold water. The flash drive arrived in a plain envelope. Audio, video. My investigator had done well. I watched them together in her car outside his apartment. Watched her lean across the console and kiss him, linger there far too long for any ambiguity. Then came the footage I already knew existed. The boyfriend grabbing my son by the collar in the kitchen, yanking him hard enough to make him stumble. My wife stood in the doorway. She laughed. I walked into the living room that night with my laptop under my arm. I placed it on the coffee table, pressed play, and sat down across from her. She didn't speak, didn't try to stop it. When it ended, her face was pale. The boyfriend's eyes darted toward the door. I smiled. It's all backed up, multiple places. Silence. Then her father's voice from the kitchen, blustering, calling me a liar. He hadn't seen the footage yet. The next day was the punch, the blood, her spit, her father's bourbon breath, and my hand, still holding that black leather notebook. Inside was every date, every phone record, photos of bruises, USB serial numbers for the drives now with my lawyer, my sister, and, most importantly, the police detective whose card I'd kept since the first mark appeared on my boy's arm. I opened the notebook to the last page, a copy of the restraining order, already filed, effective immediately. Her name, the boyfriend's name, her father's. I handed it to him without a word. By the time the sirens cut through the cold air outside, they knew exactly what was coming. Not rage, not a fight, just the slow, crushing realization that every move they'd made had been watched, logged, preserved. The officers took my son first, out to the car. He looked back once. I nodded. The house felt smaller without their voices. People assume closure is loud, that it comes with shouting, breaking glass, slammed doors. But it's quiet, unnaturally quiet. I poured a glass of water and sat at the kitchen table, the same table where my son's blood had dripped hours before. I traced the faint stain in the wood. I felt nothing for her, not love, not hate, just absence. A clean, sharp void where she'd been. She would lose custody. He would face charges. Her father would face his own legal reckoning. I didn't need to see it happen. Power isn't in watching them burn. It's in knowing you lit the match and walked away before the smoke began to rise. I closed the notebook and never opened it again.